Ava DuVernay. She is a director. She directed A Wrinkle in Time. She was the first woman of color to be given the reins of a $100 million plus budget movie. She also is in charge of Queen Sugar, a TV show. She is going to be directing a new DC action movie called The New Gods, which you got to keep your eye out for. In an awards speech, she brought up something that a friend of hers said to her. Hey, by the way, I've been hearing a lot of criticism about how you only hire women directors, and if you should be ready for people criticizing you about not hiring male directors. Here's what she said back. Thank you, friend. Thank you for that call. I invite you to tell whoever is feeling discriminated against to sue me so that I can sue every studio that has left women out, because we can do this if that's what you want to do. Thoughts, 5 words or less.
Yes. The tables are turning. We stan a queen.
Good for her.
What? That's all I got.
I looked down, I was like, I didn't write it down what my 5 words were, but it's true.
Yeah.
Good for her, just bring it out. So she said, here's a stat for you all. Of the top 100 grossing films of 2017, women represented 8% of directors, 10% of writers, 2% of cinematographers, 2% of cinematographers, and just 24% of producers. Where's the uproar over this? According to Refinery 29, according to Motion Picture Association of America, women make up 50% of moviegoers. By this point in 2018, it should not come as a surprise when women call out the inequality in any industry. Hollywood has definitely proved that it is not exempt.
Dude, she's doing the work, and I don't know if you've ever watched Queen Sugar, but it is not simply a television show. It is a masterpiece. It is beautifully done. The first episode, I was like, oh my God, this is art. It's
really
amazing. And so maybe she's just finding better directors. She's just, because it's a masterpiece.
What is Queen Sugar and where is it?
Oh, it's based not in New Orleans, it's in somewhere in Louisiana, and it's just about a family that there's been a farm. So they deal with like racial dynamics, they deal with gender dynamics. Just so much. My favorite thing about it, there's a little boy on it. He carries around this doll, Kenya. And it's like a very traditional Black family. And I think it was important that nobody has a problem with it. That his dad's name is Ralph Angel, which I don't know, I just love that. And his dad was in and out of prison, and he's trying to do what's right. He does rob a gas station in the premiere, but it's fine. We forgave him for that.
We forgave him?
Yeah.
So the show, it's
about a family, it's beautiful.
And she only hires female directors, so yeah.
Well, yesterday, kind of coincidentally, before we got the rundown, I was at a brunch with a friend of mine who is working at Amazon in content acquisition and development, and we started talking about just her career aspirations in the film industry and Hollywood, all this stuff. And she had a sort of a story where she's like, the other day I was at this meeting, and she's been working in Hollywood for a number of years now, and it was the first meeting where all the executives around the table were women, and she was like, oh man, this is really cool.
Gross.
And it had never, it had never happened before. It had always been, kind of her and the boys club, and she sort of accepted that, but she just recognized how cool it was to be at this table making important content decisions for Amazon, and it was women that were having these discussions.
But it was only women.
It was just,
Isn't it gold to have equal representation of everyone?
That's just how it ended up being, because before it had been so overwhelmingly just her and like 10 dudes, and no one had blinked an eye. That's just how it was. And then obviously Amazon did have to respond to some stuff that went down with regards to the Me Too movement, and so their departments have sort of been balancing out a little bit, and this is sort of part of that process. And then she also was telling me we were talking about opportunities for women in Hollywood, and she said, this is her statistic, I haven't looked this up, but she said that men directors, usually from their first starting job, it takes about 2 years to get into that fold, and then typically it takes women closer to about 7 years to work their way into that fold. And so when it comes to opportunities, the men will have a bigger, larger resume and experience, whereas women will put in the exact same amount of work and are no less talented. It just takes them longer to work themselves into that fold and to gain that sort of experience and to have a comparable resume. So I think it's really smart of Ava DuVernay to recognize that and be like, we need to give these women opportunities at the same in the same turnover rate that the men are giving each other these opportunities. That's all she's doing. It's not that is the men are doing it to each other, the women, and now Ava's like, no, girls, let's help each other out too.
And we can't cheapen this idea that she's only hiring women just because they're women. Queen Sugar cannot possibly be better. It just cannot. I'm telling you, it cannot get any better. And oftentimes the argument against diversity is well, we just found the best people. They just all happen to be men. I am telling you, she is finding the best directors. It cannot possibly be any better. So maybe they just happen to be all women.
God, there was an amazing, I wish I could find it right now, but there was an amazing back and forth between Ava DuVernay and Patty Jenkins, who directed Wonder Woman. And it was essentially just like this love fest back and forth between two accomplished female directors. It was just like, I think it was Patty said she took her son to go watch A Wrinkle in Time. And then afterwards her son said something like, I wish we could go back in time so I could watch it again for the first time. And then Ava was like, oh, that's amazing. I watch Wonder Woman all the time. We're so fantastic. And that kind of love fest is just as evil as when all the men hire only men. I think you should be forced to have men and women 50-50 100% of the time. I don't know. Yeah. It's hard to argue with this.
It is, and it's so ironic that that people are having a problem with this, as if this isn't, you know, a problem that women and people of color and minorities have been dealing with for such a long time.
The quote is like, when you're in a place of privilege, equality feels like oppression.
Yes, and how egocentric do you have to be complaining about this one show?
As if that's going to raise,
one woman is doing the work.
As if that's going to raise those percentages that you were talking about, like 2% of cinematographers, as if that's going to make it 85% is now women. Like that's not even going to raise it 1%.
As a representative of the cis white community, this idea of a room full of women making decisions, look at the panel today. It's mostly women.
You finally outnumber.
I've lost my position of power. Yeah, it's so ridiculous. I remember I was thinking, like, I worked with Marvel, and like now I'm thinking of all my bosses. They were all women. And that's a world that you would think would be completely run by dudes.
Right.
Just like nerdy white dudes who are like, shut the door, there's light coming in. Like that. Just run away. But yeah, I see absolutely nothing wrong with this. I think women are equally capable of being terrible bosses as men are. And good bosses by the same
If people are
token.
picking this apart and seeing something wrong with it, it's because they're absolutely misconstruing, perhaps intentionally or not intentionally, what the point and what she's trying to accomplish. So that and like not even understanding that like you have more opportunities as a white male than do your female counterparts.
Especially in this
industry. You don't understand that, I don't even know where to start with you. I really don't even know where to start.